So, the next one of my classic Doctor Who watch through is Dragonfire, a story broadcast in three parts from the 23rd of November to the 7th of December 1987. Did that totally make it Doctor Who's 24th anniversary? Eh, maybe not. Yeah, we'll brush past that. The Seventh Doctor and his companion Mel Bush, played by Bonnie Langford, end up on the planet of Svartos, specifically at a kind of big shopping centre thing called Ice World. A place where pretty much everything is ice. While there, they meet up with an old friend of theirs, Sabalom Glitz, kind of an intergalactic conman played by Tony Selby, and also meet up with a waitress named Dorothy McShane, better known as Ace, played by Sophie Aldred. Now, main reason that all of them are there is that there's supposedly a treasure deep below the planet, deep below the surface of Svartos that mainly Glitz is on the lookout for, but it's supposedly guarded by a fearsome dragon. And Ace is kind of anxious for adventure. I mean, she's growing bored of her life. She later confides to Mel that she's actually there by mistake, but she ultimately wants to feel adventure, but they kind of keep getting pushed to the side, and they have to try and figure out a way to get down there, but they end up being tracked and followed by a man named Kane, played by Edward Peel. And he is kind of like this dictator of Ice World, and it's later revealed that he was actually... the entire thing was actually built for him. He was actually a prisoner. He was originally a member of the Kane Zana gang from the planet Proamon, and he was banished here, and the dragon, in such and such, is actually his prison guard, a biomechanoid that actually does prove to be friendly. I mean, when they first run into it, it appears they are quite legitimately scared of it. It is quite a terrifying thing. But then, once it actually defends them, they actually realise, oh, it's actually on our side. Oh, it's friendly. To which, also, there's a moment at the end when it's ultimately revealed kind of what's happened. Like, Kane ultimately wants what's inside the Dragonfire, because it's a source of power and he can use it to escape from Svartos and return back home to Proamon to exact his revenge. The only thing is, at the very end, the Doctor reveals to him that he's been trapped on this planet for 3,000 years, and Proamon was kind of destroyed 1,000 years after he was imprisoned there. So it's been gone for 2,000 years, ultimately leading him to rather Raiders of the Lost Ark, it for a better term. Like, he actually opens up the window to the sun directly facing Svartos and seemingly melts his face off. But then there are also some elements in here that I think New Who would later take inspiration from. I mean, one thing that makes Kane deadly in this particular story is he needs to be kept at a sub-zero temperature. He needs to be kept very cold in order to survive, and if it raises above a certain heat threshold, he says he'll ultimately die, which ultimately leads to his face melting off later. Throughout the story, you see him kind of constantly return to a refrigeration unit, and then it's saying that his target he needs to get down to is minus 193 degrees. That's pretty darn cold, and he can ultimately kill people when being that cold just by touching them, which you do see is quite sinister. But as I said, New Who I think would ultimately take a bit of inspiration for this. I mean, you can't look at that ability and not think maybe Chris Chibnall picked up a few pieces of it for Sim Shah in Series 11. So, yeah, they ultimately did pick up some great things. Also, this is the last episode to feature Bonnie Langford as Mel, and the first one to feature Dorothy McShane as Ace. Which I've only actually seen 2 episodes featuring Mel Bush, that one being Dragonfire right here, and the other being the first of the 7th Doctor's era, Dragonfire. This also is the second time we see Sabalom Glitz, who was apparently they encountered in Trial of a Time Lord. I personally haven't seen that one yet, but you never know, maybe one day I'll get round to it. But I'll note right here, I think Ace is my favourite classic era companion. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love the classic classic companions of the classic era, such as Joe Grant, Sarah Jane Smith, Susan Foreman, and Jamie McCrimmon and the like. But I think Ace is actually my favourite. Why? I can't exactly say, but she's the type of person who I think she would be so much fun to be around. I mean, she wants she'll often take the most destructive route out of a problem, but then even if she has to be kind of talked down, she'll still find a fairly destructive way to go about things. And I mean, she had fun doing that. I mean, most of the episodes she's got several canister of something called Nitro 9, which she says she invented back when she was on Earth, and she eventually ended up abandoning her education after she blew up the art room, which, I mean, I wouldn't condone anyone to do that, but honestly, just watching a character be like that in this situation, she's just so much fun. Although, one thing I will say about the situation, while I was sad to see Mel go at the end of the episode, end of the story, I didn't actually think she was actually given much of a reason for leaving. I mean, it was just like they suddenly rushed into the TARDIS and then Mel was suddenly saying, alright, I've got to go. It was just like, really? Why? I mean, maybe she said something in the previous story like, alright, I'll go with you for one more adventure, but after that I've got to go. Maybe she did say something like that, and I haven't seen that yet, but I don't know, it just seemed like at the end of it, she's just like, well, that's it, I've had enough. But although I will admit, I do actually have in my favourites the clip of when Mel leaves and Ace is invited to be a part of the TARDIS, and it is, I think, one of my favourite clips of the classic era. Like, the 3 rules. 1, I'm in charge. Whatever you say, Professor. 2, I'm not the Professor, I'm the Doctor. Whatever you want. And the 3rd? Well, I think of the 3rd by the time we get back to Perivale. Also, this is technically where the 7th Doctor's clip came from in the Series 7 finale in 2013, The Name of the Doctor. If you remember towards the end of that story, Clara jumps into the Doctor's timeline and gets split up and into various pieces, ripped apart into various versions of herself, and you see her encountering clips of previous Doctors. And the one in which you see the 7th Doctor is him hovering over an ice crevice, and that totally comes from this story. So, Dragonfire. I advise you to check it out if you haven't already. I personally think this was a fun ride. Whether it was the strongest of Seven's era, well, I can't say that yet. I have heard a lot of great things about stuff like Curse of Fenric, which I still have yet to see. But, you know what? Dragonfire, I think, is a fun time. It's a fun adventure. It's got quite a sinister villain, a great side character with Sablon Glitz, and it introduced one of my favourite companions. Dragonfire. Check it out. Anyway, the next classic story I'll be trying to review is either going to be The Happiness Patrol or The Keeper of Traken. Which one will it be? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Till then, time is linear. See ya.